Welcome to Along the Rock, brought to you by the Radar Free Press. I am your host, Kaitlyn Blum. Today with us, we have Molly Duncan and Tyler Pellegrini, and you two are restoration ecologists that work out at the Nachusa Grasslands. Is that right?
Yep.
So tell me, for those who don't know, what are the Nachusa Grasslands?
We are a 4,000-acre tallgrass prairie preserve outside of Franklin Grove, owned and managed by the Nature Conservancy, which is a global conservation nonprofit. So kind of our mission and our main focus is restoring, protecting, and stewarding Illinois' native prairies and wetlands and woodlands. And so for us, this work involves a lot of large-scale landscape habitat restoration, so we plant a lot of native seed. We have a really robust research program, so we're hosting researchers from across the country to study the plants and animals and processes on the prairie. And we also have a really active and thriving volunteer community, so we have folks from in the area and even from further out who come and help us steward the land and really just partner with us in all aspects of our work.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, you can just come visit the area. You have a small section that is, not small, but it's a section that's walkable. There's kind of a mowed out trail area.
Yeah. We have our visitor center, which is has a large parking lot and a little hiking trail there. And then from there, we've got like five designated hiking areas folks can go and hike in and see different creeks and woodlands and prairies and all different type of habitat.
Yes, I have to admit, I'm a frequent hiker, so I've been out there many a times, and it's so gorgeous. It's so photographable. I've taken so many photos there. I always bring at least a couple cameras.
Yeah.
So can you tell me more about like the history? I don't even know how long the Nachusa Grasslands have been there.
Let me jump in. So this project started in 1986, mid-80s when it came about as like an idea. And so it started out local ecologists, plant experts. They found some remnant prairie, like these hilltops that still had remnant plants that were being grazed. And but a remnant is essentially was never plowed, never tilled up. And so they identified those, and then essentially in the mid-'80s, they protected that land when it came for sale, and then over time, it's been an effort to connect the dots of the little remnant hilltops, and then eventually acquiring the ag land that's in between, and then planting prairie and connecting that remnant to a much larger landscape. So in '86, it was 400 acres, and we're at around 4,000 now. And so it's been since then, it's been a huge, mostly volunteer-driven effort to work through the plantings, collect seed for those next plantings, chase after weeds, and then kind of oversee all aspects of the work. And then so it's mostly tallgrass prairie, but they're, like Molly said, wetlands and woodlands with really, really unique features, and it's just a big kind of a snapshot of what the whole state used to look like a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah, like you said, there's a wide variety from like the woods to the prairie to the wetlands. That is so neat. So like restoration ecologists, people have no clue what that is. And from what we were talking about before, you guys have like a wide set of responsibilities. Can you go over a little bit what you do and like what is like the most challenging part of your job?
Yeah, it varies by the season. So right now we're kind of at the end of the weed season, where we're looking after certain weed species that can take over the prairie. Kind of most of the frequent weeds you might see along roadsides or highways, they can pop up in the prairie from vehicle tires or people's shoes, wildlife. So like a bird will drop a seed, and one plant can turn into a huge population that kind of eliminates all the other biodiversity in just a small amount of time. So we try to stay up on top of those issues. So that's kind of the main like growing season effort. So spring, summer, and then at the same time we're looking after native plant populations, so we can collect seed and use that seed for those next plantings, and furthering the whole landscape. Once the fall rolls around, we'll get into prescribed fire season. There's usually a window in the fall. Wintertime is woodland work, clearing brush in the woods, those invasive shrubs that dominate there and knock out other native plant life. And then it keeps going spring fire season, then the weeds come up, and it's just kind of a cycle that's usually kind of, you can kind of expect as the temperatures change and seasons change what comes next.
Yeah, changes with the season, so it seems like you're always doing something different month to month almost. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me about some of the animals that I might see while I'm hiking about at Nachusa?
Yeah, you'll see a lot of different species of birds. We have over 200 species of birds that either migrate through Nachusa or they nest at Nachusa or they breed at Nachusa. So you'll see a lot of different birds, some that are grassland specialists, so they really need this grassland habitat in order to thrive. They're hard to find in other places. So birds like the dick thistle and the grasshopper sparrow and things like that. You'll also see little small mammals, lots of squirrels and chipmunks, and also, if you're lucky, you might see a badger, although they're kind of a shy species. And then lots of different species of insects as well. We have, I believe, over 200 native bee species at Nachusa. So there's a lot of different animal life. You'll see lots of deer and things of that sort. So
yeah, and what's the most exciting animal that you have?
I can't believe I forgot. Yes, you will see American bison at Nachusa. Yep, we have a herd of around 100 animals that roam 1,500 acres on our preserve. So we celebrated last year in 2024 10 years since they had been reintroduced at Nachusa, which was the first time there had been wild bison back in Illinois since like the 1870s.
Wow.
So it was a really big deal, and yeah, the herd has grown. So you'll see adults, and you'll also see some really cute calves running around.
That's the most exciting part, I think, about Nachusa is, like, am I going to see the bison when I go out hiking? And I always bring, like, a long, telescope lens for my camera because I'm like, I want to see him up close.
It's like a scavenger hunt. I've had lots of people, like, I come out to Nachusa and I never see the bison, I never see the herd, and we really, they kind of go where they want, so sometimes they're right up along the road and you can get a really good look, and sometimes they're tucked back in the shade, so it's kind of like, it's like a scavenger hunt. You come out and see if you can find them.
So you said previously that there was volunteer opportunities. Like, what do those look like?
So, we have like regular volunteer work days where volunteers come out and essentially do the same work as us, going after weeds, picking seed, cleaning seed, so we process all that seed and kind of refine it for the plantings, assisting with other tasks, so like for our like events that we have coming up that we'll mention, things like that. But yeah, so Thursdays and Saturdays are our regular work days, and then we also September 20th of this year, from 10 to 4, and it's the one annual event. So there are hiking opportunities, bison tours, tables with activities, I think raptors, activities for kids, food vendors,
live music.
Live music, yeah. And so that's our large event, and so there's a bunch of volunteer aspect to that, and then but otherwise. So those volunteer work days, and then we also have bison tours monthly on Saturdays, and so you can ride in a truck or on a back of a truck, and then they drive out, find the herd, and give you some time close up.
That's what I'm most excited for. I've always wanted to do one of the bison tours. It sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience, especially for people that love nature.
Yeah, it's super cool, and we have. Our bison tour leaders are oftentimes longtime volunteers, so they can give you a lot of information about the herd and our history, and it's kind of like an educational tour where you're able to learn a lot about the work we do, as well as the hikes that are being led on September 20th are also led by longtime volunteers or researchers or staff, so you get out in the prairie and then you get to learn a lot more about what all is happening out there.
So where would I go to find like all the details and information for this?
You can go to the Friends of Nachusa Facebook page. You can go to nachusagrasslands.org to find out about volunteer opportunities and our fall festival. And then if you want to learn more about the Nature Conservancy and our efforts, you can go to nature.org/Illinois or Nachusa. Both will bring you to us.
Cool. Is there like one thing you just wish people knew about Nachusa?
I do want to add on, this could be that fact for the like volunteer aspect. So the 4,000 acres, was it been 40 years around that? And so the volunteer aspect has been the critical factor in being able to accomplish all that we do. And so, it's some of the finest work that we've seen, prairie plantings, managing. So we have like volunteer stewards that have their own little section of the prairie that they do all the work, and they have all responsibility on what goes on and managing for weeds and seed collection and prescribed fire. And some of the finest work that's taken place over the years has been from like volunteers, so retired teachers, folks from very different backgrounds and careers, and have come in, and you kind of you can learn the ins and outs and then refine it by just doing the work, and it doesn't take a scientist or an expert with a degree to come in and do really good work. So
that is so neat. That sounds like an amazing opportunity for someone that just has times on their hands, loves nature. That's like a way you can really make a difference, but like in your local community.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, and even we have volunteers who help us with like all aspects of our work. So our social media, prepping for events, fixing equipment. It's not, there might be people out there who are interested in getting involved but may not want to spend, hours on the prairie all the time. There are definitely ways that you can get involved even if you're not wanting to be outside all of the time. So we have lots of opportunities for really anybody who's interested.
That's great. Yeah. So like no matter what your skill set, there's something for you to do to help out Nachusa Grasslands.
Yeah, for sure.
So I always like to end with a fun question. What is your favorite animal that's on the grasslands?
Oh man. I feel like it changes by season, by what's really active. I'm a big fan of the kingfisher, which is kind of like a charismatic bird you often see by creeks. They're really loud and they're blue and they kind of have a mohawk. So I think right now the kingfisher is probably my favorite that I'm seeing out on the prairie.
I love that.
Yeah, kind of similar. A bunch of different bird species that I love seeing depending on when they're active. Like goldfinches, the way that they fly kind of up and down is always fun to see. The bison are always awesome to see. I think probably in the springtime coming across a fawn, a little baby deer that spots huddled up underneath some plants, stumbling upon it, and their instinct is to stay and hide until they're almost like stepped on. So that's probably one of my favorites too.
Aw. Well, thank you, Tyler and Molly, for being here with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Of course.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you to our listeners and to our production crew as well. Remember that the Radar Free Press is free, so we do rely on those likes, shares, and comments to keep us thriving. And if you want to see more videos like this, check out theradar.online.